Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Indie Reads TV, brought to you by Pages Promotions. Today in the studio, I've got a really fun writer. I just met her at Leanne and Lulu's book author festival this past month. We had a great time talking, and I wanted to invite her onto the show. So this is Peggy Losey, and she's going to be talking about both of her books. One is a children's book, and one is an adult nonfiction. So we'll be talking about those and getting to know her a little bit. So, Peggy, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come.
I'm so glad that we ran into each other. You know, I love the Leanne and Lulu event. They do that twice a year, where we get to be introduced to new local authors. And I love going. Usually I'm a participant with my own books, but this year I didn't have an opportunity to do that. I actually sold out of books at a previous event.
That's what I heard. That's my dream.
It was fun. So I didn't get to present the way I wanted to, but it gave me an opportunity to spend that much more time getting to know authors like yourself. So give me a little bit of background. Who are you? Where do you come from?
I am a wife, a mom, a grandmother, known as Oma.
Mm-hmm.
And I live in the same house that I was born to many, many, many years ago in Berkeley, Michigan.
Okay.
I'm a local, and I'm just a homegrown gal that has apparently figured out how to write a book.
Yeah, two of them, actually.
Two of them, actually.
Well, good. This is the first book I want to talk about today, The Secret Hat, Finding the Truth in Santa Claus. Now, we have to talk about a little bit of a spoiler alert here, and that is...
We do.
This is a book for children after they come of a certain age.
Yes, we market the book as being for age-appropriate inquiring children who have asked the big question.
Right. So because we are a family show, we don't want to give away any spoilers.
That's right.
So, but I read the book sitting with you at Leanne and Lulu, and it's got, I'm going to show the illustrations here in a second. It's just glorious illustrations.
Thank you. And
you have a wonderful artist. Oh my gosh, she was great. And it was nice to be able to meet her as well.
Yes, we make a great team.
But this book is really, I think it fits a niche that hasn't been fulfilled up till now. You know, this is a question all of us parents who are Christian, at the very least. I didn't have the problem with my son because we're Jewish, so, you know, we lit candles. But my nieces and nephews had this question come up as they grew. So I definitely see the place for it. Where did you get the idea or the concept to do this book?
Well, I'm going to continue the conversation in the cryptic language that I use.
Absolutely, yes.
There was a year when my granddaughter was 8 years old, and she asked the big question, and she was sad. And I thought, you know what? It's the reason for the season is about giving.
Sure.
And the representation of the figure that we use for giving at Christmas time is a happy figure. It's a happy time.
Sure.
And I wanted to replace that sadness for Clara, my granddaughter. And so I made up a story that anybody that you see wearing those, any kind of a Christmas elf type hat,
right,
you know that they know the answer to the secret, but they never tell.
Right.
But you have to earn that hat. And to earn that hat, you have to share your Christmas spirit with another. And when you do, your heart will know.
How lovely.
And so she said, but Oma, how do we do that? And I said, well, we've been asked to go pass out some things with a friend of ours who was going to be representing the Christmas spirit down in the city of Detroit. And so we made up some really, really fun costumes so that we could not be missed out on the streets. And I made up a basket full of those little Christmas stockings with just little toys, little candies, little trinkets in it. And we were all ready to go. Well, the day before we were supposed to do that with this gentleman, he canceled because it was an outdoor event and there was rain predicted.
Ah, okay.
And I'm like, oh my goodness, I've made up this story and I've promised this 8-year-old that if she shared her Christmas spirit, her heart would know, and she could earn the right to wear this hat.
Right.
And so I was talking to my daughter who lives in Germany, and I said, oh, what are we going to do? It's on such short notice. We can't go to a nursing home or any other public place like that. And I thought, well, maybe we can go through a mall. And I thought, dressed up like that, we're going to get kicked out of a mall. And so she said, Mom, why don't you guys just walk up and down the streets of Royal Oak? And I'm like, oh, perfect idea.
Sure.
So that's what we did. So my friend, my former boss at work, and Clara's godmother, and Clara and I, we all assumed elf names.
Okay.
I am Miss Candy Cane.
Okay. I'm going to see while you're talking, just real quick, I'm going to see if I can show these pictures. These are just glorious pictures.
Thank
Look
you.
At that. They're just so cool.
In this picture, you see Miss Sugar Plum on the left. And then I'm in the background back there. I'm Miss Candy Cane. And then, oh my goodness, I can't remember Sarah's elf name. and Clara is Miss Jingles.
Okay.
And, Miss Tinsel. Sorry, Sarah. Miss Tinsel. And so we assumed the personas. I made up these costumes. And the pictures that you see here, just a huge kudos to my dear friend Jeannie McCormick, who is my illustrator.
She did a beautiful job.
These are based on photographs of the live events that we've done over the years. So what we did is we went up and down the streets of Royal Oak, and we would pop into the coffee shops. We always start at Starbucks, and we just open up the door, and we go in, and we just start singing Jingle Bells, and we pass out bead necklaces with jingles on them in honor of Miss Jingles. And little candy, and then we just say, Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas, be nice to one another, and we leave. And then we go to the next store, and we do the same with people that are walking on the streets. And to see people smile, it just warms your heart.
Yes.
And it's an amazing study in humanity.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Because people don't know how to react when you're not asking for money. You're just dressed up like a bunch of really silly-looking people.
Yeah.
And you're just trying to make people smile. Yes, this particular page
This one is really great. I mean, I'm trying to do the backwards. There we go.
These are different friends that we call our adventure elfing that elf with us. And the only criteria is if you have earned your hat, you get to choose whatever kind of hat you want to wear. So these are some of the hats that folks wore the last couple of years. So that first year, we got all done, and we emptied our basket with all the goodies that we had taken with us. And it indeed did start raining.
Okay.
And we were cold, and we were wet, and so we decided to go have lunch, and Miss Jingles, wanted a hot cocoa.
Sure.
So we went into the now not there anymore, Northwood Shopping Center, Leo's. And we sat down. We had just gotten our drinks, and this elderly gentleman came up to her, and he said, What's your name? And she said, Miss Jingles. And he said, Miss Jingles, I want you to know that today you made my heart smile.
Oh.
And
you could not have planned that any better. Oh, my gosh.
Looked at each other, and Clara's just sitting there. She had no clue the significance of that event. She's sitting there drinking her hot cocoa, and us three women had tears running down our cheeks.
Yeah.
And we looked up, and he was gone.
Wow.
And we're like, okay, who was he? Where did he come from?
Who paid him to do this?
And who planted him there?
Yeah.
And we were dumbfounded. So we just sat there in silence, really, trying to figure out what had just happened.
And did Clara then have the revelation?
Oh, well, her revelation really...
Or did you have to kind of bring that to her?
Well, it didn't happen for a couple of years.
Okay.
It really... I mean, she just knew that somebody told her that she made his heart smile, and she had earned her hat. So... Then a couple minutes later, he comes walking back in. He had gone out, and he had purchased a candy bar and a headband for her.
Nice.
And he placed it on the table in front of her and said, Merry Christmas, Miss Jingles. And he turned around and he walked away.
I'm getting goosebumps. That's
I
just,
know.
what a great
Yeah.
story. I mean, how wonderful that there are people who you encounter, random people, who get what it is you're doing.
Exactly.
And they respond in kind. That's like
And who
karma
would have answered
to the nth degree. Right. Yeah.
My question of your heart will know.
Yes.
I mean, the adult hearts definitely knew.
Mm-hmm.
And it really wasn't until a couple of years later when we were, because we've carried on this tradition. This will be our 7th year now.
Okay.
And it was a couple of years later when Clara really got it. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, that first year, we always have a visit from Santa Claus at our house on Christmas Eve.
Well, he visits almost everybody's house.
And he stops at our house first before he brings the presents.
Okay.
And in his bag this particular year, when he stopped at our house, just for that last Christmas list before he went back up to the North Pole,
Mm-hmm.
he pulled out of his bag Clara's hat.
Oh, nice.
And he said, Miss Jingles, I heard that you earned your secret hat. And she felt so incredibly special. I have a picture of that also that I wanted to try to use in the book because it was that crowning glory,
Absolutely.
so to speak.
Yeah.
It just didn't fit with the way that the poetry went and all of that.
Sure. But this is a new edition of It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, it's...
I mean,
and it's
really,
true. It's
truly,
true.
it is on that scale.
Thank you.
Because
Thank you.
I think it's for a new generation.
Thank
it's
you.
explaining the wonderment of the Christmas spirit for a new generation, for little kids who don't get that old black and white film.
Well, exactly. And to us, it represents the truth of Santa Claus giving.
Mm-hmm.
That's the message that we feel that we portray when we're out, just whether it's, and none of us can singing Jingle Bells way out of tune. That's the only song that we tackle, and we only sing like the first part of it. Or every year we give out like Mardi Gras beads with jingles on them.
Okay.
Again, honoring Miss Jingles.
Sure.
And then we pass out sometimes little toys to the children.
So, how old is Clara now?
Clara is now 15.
Okay, and does she still go out with you and do this
Absolutely.
tradition every year?
Absolutely.
That's
and
awesome.
Clara's got twin sisters.
Okay.
And Clara was 8 the first year, and the first twin, which is the youngest of the twins, did not earn her secret hat for 3 years after Clara did.
Oh, my goodness.
And so they could never figure out why Clara always got to do this with Oma, and they couldn't. And the reasoning was because you didn't ask the question.
Yeah.
And we don't even ever say what the question is. And so then Rose joined our troops 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
The following year, her twin sister, Annalise, did. And this past Christmas, Miss Tinsel, her godmother's daughter, joined it,
Okay.
as well as my, Izzy earned her secret hat Christmas Eve last year. And so this will be the first year she goes elfing with us. And about 3 months ago, my twin grandsons in Germany earned their secret hats.
How lovely. Oh, my gosh. What a fantastic family tradition you've created
and
here.
it's, even... And
really, this is gonna stretch generations, but I can imagine that this is going to be something that's going to spill out from these children into their friends.
oh, we hope so. It already has.
And it's going to be a cascading
already
waterfall
has.
kind of effect.
When I had my book launch in July, I did a Christmas in July book launch. That's what my timeline, I tried to
Yep.
space it that way. 2 of the twins, the girl twins here in the U.S., 2 of their friends earned their secret hats.
Okay.
So they came to the book launch and got a book, and they each got a hat, too.
Oh, nice.
So they're going to
nice.
join us this year as well.
So this is the book again, for people who may be tuning in a little bit late. The Secret Hat. This is just a fabulous book. And again, we want to caution the adults in the audience that this is a book that you need to make sure your children are ready for it.
It's an age-appropriate book for inquiring children. I like to say that it's a conversation starter.
Yeah.
Because for those of us who have children who do celebrate Christmas with Santa Claus, it's a very awkward moment.
Mm-hmm.
And most parents aren't ready for it.
Yeah.
And it's just a great book to have on hand. The other thing that I wanted to mention about the breadth of how this is spreading is that because we've chosen the same spot in Royal Oak every single year to do this, there are businesses that look forward to us doing it every single
How nice
year.
for you to have that support and the community
Every
getting
year.
involved. That's
And
tremendous.
one of the pages in there, and I hope this is okay to shout out to Herman's Bakery in Royal Oak.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They absolutely love seeing us come in there every single year. And when we've gone into Atomic, people have, and because trust me, when we go in, we belt out jingle bells.
Well, sure.
And
you're in full costume and regalia.
yes,
and
yeah.
I mean,
And-
if it were me, I'd be looking for the reindeer parked out front.
Yeah, well, last year at Mr. B's, the last page in the book, Santa came out of Mr. B's when he saw us and said, "Can I have my picture taken with you?"
How nice.
And it's usually the other way around.
Right.
But the businesses in Royal Oak that have seen us do this year after year, they are just so welcoming every single year. We've only ever gotten kicked out of one place. So.
Well, and why would you? It's a fantastic idea. I love that we're giving permission to children to carry Christmas spirit into adulthood.
Well, and it's not, yes, the book is a book about the Santa Claus experience. However, you may notice in the Book of the Hats, we have a Miss Dreidel.
Yes.
And she is my neighbor. And she,
it's about the spirit of the season.
It's about the season,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's about sharing, just sharing a smile with someone, letting somebody know that you wish them happiness.
Right.
Be kind. And
it's not that hard.
It's
not that hard.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Miss Tinsel, Sarah, every single time. Be kind to one another.
That's great. So let's kind of segue. This is your other book, Flea Hopper, Flea Market Travel, Treasures, and Trips.
Tips.
Sorry.
That's okay.
It's tongue twisters. That's
I
what
think
that
it says tips.
Yes,
Better.
that's a tongue twister for me. So tell us a little bit about this book.
Flea Hopper, and by the way, that's not really the name. The name of the book is Flea Market Travel, Treasures, and Tips. Flea Hopper is the little flea that's on top of the globe. As I mentioned, my daughter lives in Germany, and she's been there about 18 and a half years now. And when I started traveling to Europe to visit her, I started going to flea markets there.
Okay.
When you read the book, not if you read the book, but when you read the book, you will see that I have loved going to thrift stores, flea markets, garage sales, auctions. Since I was 9 years old, I went to my first auction with my dad. And it's just been a part of my lifestyle. I love thrifting. I love living off of a lot of thrifting, as well as using it as a way to resell the finds that I get thrifting, wherever they may be from, to fund my travels to Europe.
Right. So let's these are two very different endeavors.
Very different experiences.
One is paperback, softcover, cream paper. One is hardcover, white paper with vivid illustrations. Talk a little bit about the pros and cons that you encountered with each project, and we've got about 8 minutes left. So
Okay.
So tell us a little bit about the challenges that you ran into with each one.
Well, I guess ignorance is bliss.
Yes, it is.
And so,
Especially in this industry.
My hope with Flea Hopper was to share how easy and how inexpensively you can travel to Europe and go to fabulous flea markets. And I had hoped maybe to get a group of people together to do this. And so I thought, well, I've got to write my story down. So I started doing that. Well, then when I did that, I thought, well, I got to tell about my background. So that led to telling the story about my dad taking me to the auctions.
Okay.
And then I got into, well, I got to tell them how I make my money. Well, I make my money because I sell on eBay. I've been selling on eBay for 21 years.
Okay.
So I go over there, and I want to see my daughter. So I make money, I sell it, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to write all that down. So I started writing all of that, and that was quite easy for me. I just did it in Word, and then I just, that was kind of before there were so many Facebook groups that you could join. Sure.
So you just kind of winged it.
I totally winged it.
Yep.
Went online, I figured out how to get it on Amazon. I did KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing, which was, when I was done, I put some pictures in there. They said my pictures weren't good enough, didn't know what that meant, but I thought, oh, well, this is what you get. And they're kind of okay.
They're fine. Yeah, they're not awful.
But I pressed publish, and voila, I was an author.
And today you have a book, right?
And I'm like, whoa, that was so cool.
So now juxtapose that with this other book that was a much more involved process.
It was.
So how was this different?
Children's book. Oh my gosh, the criteria. And I am still really, really ignorant about the majority of it, but I kind of figured it out. Okay, this one it will never be offered as an ebook. I want parents, grandparents to pick it up, snuggle up on the couch with their child, look their child in the face, hold the book in your hands, share the experience, and talk about what they're going through.
Sure.
That's what I wanted with this.
Yeah.
So I wanted hardcover. Can't do hardcover on KDP. Well, how in the world do you do that? Thank you, YouTube. YouTube, and Facebook.
Right. It's amazing how the internet can serve as a research tool now. It's
amazing.
Without the internet, I don't know where we'd be. We'd be 20 years behind.
Yeah. So to keep it short and sweet, I learned 32 pages. Minimum.
Yep.
700 words. And of course, I chose poetry.
Okay.
So I sent it out for 2 edits. Rhyme and meter is critically important.
Yes.
2 edit. My first go at it was like almost 1,200 words. I learned that you chop out every single thing that does not progress the story.
Yeah, especially dealing with the age group that you're writing for. You want to keep it very short and simple with messages that are easy to internalize for young children.
Well, and then I needed to match my poem with my illustrations.
Right, which is always a challenge.
So then I was like, okay, now the hardest part for me, I figured that part of it out, and it is on Amazon. Do not order it if you order it on Amazon, you will not get this beautiful copy because it is published through Ingram Spark.
Yep, and that's a completely other conversation.
Exactly.
That's a whole other kettle of fish.
And the quality
we could do an entire hour on the differences between publishing houses.
We could. And, they're... the book that they printed and is available on Amazon is 70-pound paper. This is 110-pound paper.
Yep. So it's the quality's different.
It's the quality.
Yeah. And it's not that it's necessarily poor quality. It's just different quality for a different product.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was quite sad when I got my order from them. And I thought, you know what, I've got to do it, and I've got to order it elsewhere.
Well, and that's a really interesting thing that I think that we should talk about real quick, because it's not something that a lot of authors consider, and that is, what is your new author expectation? You have this picture in your head of what you want to hold as your final copy when you're done. And are those realistic expectations? So you kind of need to do the research and maybe, get some print proofs and see what other people have done and hold other people's books just to be sure.
Well, and that's what I did. Yeah. That's what I did not have the experience when I held that book in my hand that we had in Leo's. And I knew I had to find something different.
Right.
So.
Right. But again, I think that's an important thing, that there is no one solution fits all situations plan out there. You have to really, as a new author, especially you learn this with both your books, you
Yes.
really have to take a look at what's available and then find the puzzle piece that fits best for you.
And I found a great fit. I had to order a quantity of 1,000, which I did because I wanted that quality. My heart and soul is in that book.
Sure.
And I wanted it to represent the experience.
So let's kind of step away from these two books for a minute. Let's talk about your writing career. Do you have something coming up? Do you have another project that you're working on?
I do. My grandsons that live in Germany, they would love to be part of my next writing experience. And they have been traveling to the U.S. since they were 9 months old. They just turned 11.
Okay.
And I said, and they were detailing one day when I was visiting them, step by step, what they do when they find out that they're coming to America.
Okay.
And it was, and the light bulb went off in my head, next book. And they were like, Mama comes in and it's dark out and she turns on the light. And then she says, come on, we're going to America. And so we jump up, America. And so anyway, I told him, I said, make a list and we need at least, I said 24 things. So make number 1 through 24 and you need to write down the ideas.
And you brought this to show us.
Yeah, I did. And this is the outline for my next book.
Written by wonderful children in German.
And it is in German.
It's fabulous.
And it is.
So this, again, is a really great example of how there is no one way to write a book.
Absolutely.
Right? And this is something that I have been preaching to writers for as long as I've been working with authors. Years now, I've been saying, look, there's no one way. There's a bunch of different ways you can approach projects. So do it however it comes to you. So I think it's fabulous that the kids outlined, storyboarded in essence, your book for you.
They did. And this will be a paperback. It will be available on Amazon, and it will be in 2 languages.
Excellent.
So
I can't wait to see that. That's going to be a fabulous book.
Thank
I'm
you.
so
looking
glad that you came out to be with us today. I'm really pleased that we stumbled upon each other. I'm going to be watching your
my
career
pleasure.
real closely.
My pleasure.
And if there's anything more we can do to support your writing endeavors, please let us know.
I will. Thank you again so much for the opportunity.
Thank you for coming in.
It's been a pleasure.
Have a nice night.
Thank you.